Welcome everybody to the Urban Parking System repository that's been designed and developed in Enterprise Architect. My name's Scott Hebbard from Sparx Systems, and I'm joined today by Stephen Maguire. And today we're going to be looking at some advanced UML class modeling techniques. So welcome Stephen, it's great to have you here today. What can you tell us as far as some of the advanced features for doing class modeling in Enterprise Architect?
Thank you for the introduction, Scott. And yeah, let's get started. We are going to be looking at UML class diagrams. We have had a couple of previous videos, an introduction and an intermediate video, and we're now going to extend some of the things that we were covering in that second intermediate video. You can see on the screen here, I've got a navigation diagram open. So you can see that we've got a number of navigation cells there. And one of them is structural models. And we know that the UML class diagram is a type of structural model. As always, Scott, I like to set my perspective in the tool. Up in the top right-hand corner, we have the perspective set drop-down. I'm going to change that from wireframes, which I've been working on this morning, into UML structural there, and that's the perspective that I'll choose. The tool responds by setting the focus onto building structural models, including class and object and composite structure models. As you can see here, when we open the class diagram, we've got a number of different patterns in here that you can use to get a jump start on your modeling effort. You can inject those into the tool, into the repository, by simply choosing the create model button there, and then you're free to change some of the names. But as always, Scott, I like to start from first principles. So let's close the builder page and let's return to our navigation diagram here. So in a previous video, in the intermediate class diagrams video, we looked at creating a diagram focused pretty much on the parking meter. So let's have a look what we've got available here. You can see we've got a number of different models there. Let's click through on this one. So a little inspection point there, if you like, a little preview. Let's click through on there. And now we've got a class model. And if we look at that, this was the vanilla one we did. And just so that the audience is aware of how we construct these navigation windows, which I'll do on the fly now, we'll close that one and we'll put another model in, and so we'll find out where this particular class model is. We can do that by going to the structural models there and go down into the class model. It's kind of easy to find. And we had one that was called class model meter focus. So to create a navigation cell, all we do is simply drag that from the project browser, drop it onto the diagram there, and we've got the freedom to choose a navigation cell. So a lot of different ways we can drop that as a frame, as diagram reference. Let's do that. And now what's popped up on my other screen is a choice of the icon that we can use. So it is a class diagram. Let's choose something, quite simple there. We might choose this one here again, or we can choose a different icon. Let's choose this one here for it. And
that looks like a class diagram.
It does indeed. And we can use our magic alignment indicators there to say, look, that's nicely aligned. We don't have to do much work to do that. And now I'll save that diagram. And now, Scott, if I click on that or click on the little preview, we can see that's where we left off in the intermediate video. So let's open that diagram. And now that's been saved. And remember, we can always get back right up the chain there using that little back step there. So we wanted strategic models. We wanted actually, we didn't want strategic models.
No,
we wanted structural models.
I think we want structural models.
Jumping ahead there. So let's go into our class model meter focus there. And you can see that we've got a diagram of a class model of the meter itself. And we have a number of different compartments showing. Let's just talk about those very briefly. We've got attributes, we've got operations, we've got discussions, and we've got notes displayed. And if you remember from the previous video, just to recap, clicking in the diagram canvas somewhere, we can go to the properties window, the compartments panel, and we can select the things that we want to display. So, if I didn't want to display operations, I can turn those off and they're not going to be displayed. They're not deleted from the repository. They're simply not displayed on this particular diagram. Now, let's open our features window, which we had before, just to make people aware of that. We go to the start ribbon, the all windows panel, the properties item, and we choose features there. So this is a very convenient way of getting access to any window in Enterprise Architect. You notice now that the features window opens and we can see that we have got these things. Now, just to recap, we have got operations and attributes in there, and you can see that there are two attributes, meter ID and meter type. One of them is not being displayed because we suppressed it. So if you want to look at that, go back and look at the previous video. And the other thing that we want to look at is, again, if we go to our Start ribbon, our Windows panel, and our Design item, we can look at this Inspect window. So we can look at that, and this is exactly where we left off, looking at the fact that we can, an element chosen in a diagram or in the browser, we can get a very quick view of the details of not everything in the repository, which you get from the browser window, that's listing all of the other classes and things. And we do get some elements here for our parking meter. We get some operations and we get some attributes. We don't get any of the other details, but in the inspector window, we get to look at all sorts of other things. This is where we're going to continue our narrative of our story, Scott. So what we're going to look at now is some requirements. So we're going to add some requirements to this particular class. So let's do that. And so one of the things that we need the parking meter to do is to be sort of damage resistant or vandal proof, if you like. So over in this window here, and there are a number of different ways we can do it, but over in this window, it's very convenient to just go right mouse click there and say new requirement, and that will pop up, and I'll say damage resilient. Yeah. And as always, I want to put some notes in there. That doesn't tell the whole story. So, parking meter can be fortified against vandalism and tampering through a combination of physical measures like hardened steel, housing, reinforced collections, and things. So we can, look at these. We've got drop downs here for difficulty, priority. We can say, look, that is actually quite a difficult thing to be and priority. Yes, it's quite high. We don't want to put quite critical actually. We don't want to put our parking meters out and have them damaged. So let's save that and close that one there. And you can see now that we've got this requirement, damage resilient there. And when I select it, the notes are being displayed there. Back to our class model. And while people are using this repository, they've got access to all of the very, very useful features. The utility of being able to look at different windows open at the same time. So I can click on, different parts, but I wanted to look at what the meter type was about. I can click on that and get some notes. There are all sorts of ways of getting access to that information. But if this model was published in a document, and remember we can generate documents from Enterprise Architect automatically, or is included in some sort of contractual document or viewable through our web-based tools like Collaborate and WebEA, you wouldn't see these other windows. So the useful thing here is on the diagram, I can go back to my either the element or the diagram canvas and say, look, I want to display some other things, and one of them is requirements. So I'll click on that, and there's the requirement being displayed in the diagram. So very useful. Again, let's go back to our selected class and go back to our inspector window. You see that there are a number of other things in here. We've got requirements, we've got constraints as well. So let's talk about some constraints. So we'll move on and look at some constraints that are part of our model. And let's get, bring some of those up, and let's have one that says that the hourly rate is always positive. We don't want anyone, creating a rate that's negative, and the owners of the parking meter system, the local government, being charged for people parking. So again, we're in this with that selected. We can go into our constraints tab there, and we can click on that item there, and we can say new constraint, and we can put in there, hourly rate is always positive. Now we could write that much more formally in object constraint language, but let's leave it like that for the moment. The cost per hour is always a currency value greater than 0, hourly rate greater than 0. So a little bit more formality there with that constraint there, and let's save that. So again, that's going to pop up over here, and we've got our constraint there, and we can see that is there, and we can see the notes again, even though we put them into the other window, they were there. And we've got a number of other things we can do, Scott. So here again, we return to our compartments, and if we wanted to, we could just click on all of these items at once, and if there was nothing being displayed, the compartment wouldn't be displayed. But there's our constraints. Hourly rate is always positive. incredibly useful. Let's look at some other things that we might want to put in here. We'll go and select our element again, and we've got constraints, scenarios. We'll jump over that one for the minute, and we'll go down here to maintenance items. This is always an interesting one, and let's look at that. So maintenance items are things like features, changes, defects, tasks, and all those kind of things. Let's put in a feature there. I'll just move that window onto another screen. Let's put in a feature that is kind of important when you're using a parking meter, is that the display is sort of visible from different angles. So here we'll go right mouse click on that, look at a new feature. That's just popped up in this other window, and let's just say that the message is display. So if someone's approaching the parking meter, we don't want them not being able to see it, with light reflection or something. The screen is viewable from a range of angles from 30 to 150 degrees from the normal. So
did you want to say display message, not end message?
So say it again.
The second word in the title.
Oh, sorry, I've got to type it. The display message is visible. There we go, from different angles. So, we've tightened it up some of that. We've sort of started to talk about the actual, angles and some, more specifics there. So let's go OK to that. And again, you can see that's going to pop up in here as well. And we go back to our list over here, and we can say, look, let's choose maintenance. Now you can see here that maintenance has popped up as a compartment, and feature is the label there for what we're looking at. And again, if we click on this particular element, we get not only the description, but also the history of changes if they'd occurred. But there are a number of other things we can put under maintenance where we've got, changes and documents and issues and defects and all sorts of other things. Let's leave that for the moment, and let's look at one other one for the moment, which is actually, let's move on to something else. Actually, what you can see is you can add, all sorts of other things here. We can say that there's a new decision. All sorts of different things that we can add there, decisions, events, and efforts and risks. We'll just leave those for the moment. The story's kind of the same. The other thing I want to do is to look at this element in the context of a particular project. So we've done this work with, added all these things, but what would it actually mean, or how would it help us during a project to have this information? Well, let's look at the project browser, and let's create another diagram here, and let's call it another diagram here, and we'll call it a class diagram. And we're going to look on here, and we're going to call it development, so class model development. And we'll go create diagram. We get ourselves another diagram, and let's make this diagram a Kanban diagram. So we right mouse click there, and we can choose Kanban. And what we've got is a dialog box that pops up, and we've got all sorts of different things here. And what we can do is we can bind the Kanban diagram to a particular part of the elements in the repository. So let's bind it to status, and we'll say that what we want to do in the Kanban diagram is bind it to status, and we'll say fill from binding. So now we've got all of the statuses that are in the system: approved, implemented, in progress, proposed, all sorts of other things that we can do there. And let's just go OK to that for the moment. We can see now if we put an element onto the diagram, let's just choose our parking meter element and drop that onto the diagram. Now that goes on there. Now let's just enable our Kanban. So without Kanban enabled, we'll put that one on, and we'll say OK to that. And now you can see that parking meter has
automatically approved.
It's automatically approved. So the great thing about this, Scott, is that there are a lot of Kanban diagram tools around, but the power of Enterprise Architect is the fact that this isn't just a diagram that we can, move things. So we can move this from approved to implemented, and, in progress or things. We can change the order of these columns we want.
Yep.
So, we can go back here to our Kanban settings and say, yeah, that's all good. But we can, change the order of these columns if we like.
And you can change the color. So if you wanted to make something stand out.
Yeah, we can do all sorts of different things with those. So I'm just using my control keys to do that. We've got it's approved, in progress, proposed. We might want to put that thing above to approve, in progress there. I'll put that after proposed, and then we can set those things. But the interesting thing is that we can, our elements over here, we can now just find this in all diagrams now and say, look, we want to find out some more information about it, and we can say, look, it's in our a whole lot of different diagrams, class, model, meter, focus, and we can get straight to that diagram there. We can click back on that now and get back. Oh, it's not that one. Back to our Kanban diagram. And the other thing is, Scott, that without having to open that diagram, I can just go to my inspection window and go, hey, what are all these things about when I do that? So I just wanted to show you that. We'll go back to our project browser, and we'll go back to our meter focus one. So you can see that there are a whole lot of different things that we can add to this, and we could complete this whole story and add lots of other project level things, and also like issues and decisions and all sorts of things. So I hope the audience will can see how rich this is as a way of being able to create a narrative or a story and build out and flesh out the information. So it's not just a simple little model with just attributes and operations in it, but a much richer set of parameters or metadata now that's available there with those constraints and requirements and maintenance items.
Excellent.
So that's it for this topic, Scott. And we will look at some more detailed things in an expert level class diagram video.
Well, thank you very much for taking us through the advanced class modeling features. We've looked at requirements, constraints, maintenance items, and we even instantly put it into a Kanban diagram. And when you moved from one column to the other, it automatically updated the properties accordingly. And yeah, very, very rich, very, very powerful. So thank you very much for that, Stephen. To our audience, thanks very much for watching. We always appreciate having you here. If you want to learn more about class modeling or UML in general, you can reach out to our resident UML expert, Stephen Maguire, via his website or LinkedIn credentials that are listed in the video description below. As always, thanks for your time. Greatly appreciated, Stephen. It's been great learning a little bit more about class models, and I encourage all of our audience to have a look at all the other videos in our series, including the intro, the intermediate, this one, the advanced, and the expert session to learn more. Thank you.